The pair that reality TV viewers can't stop watching has been Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones for more than 20 years. They have given us everything: engagements, proposals, tears, arguments, and Nevertheless, one question has plagued them more than any other during all of the highs and lows. Why haven't they gotten married? Chrissy and Jim recently disclosed the true reason they will never be married, so get ready. Fans weren't prepared for it either. The pair revealed the truth they've been keeping for years in a startling sit-down that left both longtime watchers and insiders in amazement. It's not about timing. To put it mildly, money isn't the point, and it has nothing to do with family strife. It's something far more explosive, darker, and deeper. The social media world is in ruins. After years of hoping for a fairy tale wedding, many now feel deceived, caught off guard, and devastated. While some are criticizing Jim for not speaking the truth, others are applauding Chrissy for dragging her for a long time. The worst part is that their confession provoked more questions than it provided answers. What precisely has this relationship been based on for all these years, if marriage was never the goal? And believe me, the explanation they provided is going to alter your perspective on their whole romance. To comprehend, you have to rewind the tape to understand why Chrissy Lannan and Jim Jones' recent confession rocked the culture. This couple essentially created the contemporary model for reality TV partnerships because they didn't appear out of nowhere. Marriage served as the enticing hook that kept followers interested for years. The history of the first reality couple in hip-hop. Jim Jones was at the peak of his rap career in the early 2000s. When songs like We Fly High, Ballin' made him a household name. He was accompanied by Chrissy, who was already well known for her fiery attitude and sense of style. Their chemistry was evident from the start, tumultuous but alluring, full of disputes, reconciliations, and a devotion that supporters were unable to ignore. Chrissy and Jim carried the show's initial seasons when Love and Hip Hop debuted in 2011. The audience was immediately captivated by Chrissy's audacity, her readiness to confront everyone who stood in her way, and her candid vulnerability over Jim. The infamous proposal was the start of the marriage plot. Who could forget the famous occasion when Chrissy got down on one knee herself because she was sick of waiting for Jim to pop the question? One of the most talked about moments in reality TV history was that one. She was commended by some followers for accepting responsibility for her own happiness. She was chastised by others for pleading with a man to marry her. However, one thing was evident: it paved the way for more than 10 years of inquiries. Would Jim wed her at last? Would the wedding Chrissy deserved come to pass? Or did this proposal mark the start of a never-ending heartache? Then Jim's mother, Mama Jones, who was a firebrand in her own right, got involved. From the beginning, she made it apparent she didn't like Chrissy, and their conflict turned into a plot point in and of itself. It's well known that Mama Jones claimed Chrissy wasn't the ideal fit for her son because she was too demanding and controlling. The marital controversy was only exacerbated by that familial drama. Supporters contended that Jim's hesitation was mostly due to Mama Jones' displeasure. Chrissy, on the other hand, became more and more irritated, feeling ignored and abandoned. The dream of a happy ever-after wedding, spin-offs, and more drama was shattered with every family argument. VH1 created a spin-off devoted just to their romance, Chrissy and Mr. Jones, because their relationship became so prevalent in popular culture. That program had made the marital problems worse because Chrissy kept pushing Jim for clarification and Jim kept avoiding the subject. He even handed her a ring at one point, but there was never a wedding date. The cycle went on. Fans clung to hope despite the arguments, reconciliations, tears, and promises. After everything they'd been through, surely eventually the wedding would take place. All those years couldn't have been for nothing, could they? The never-ending query for almost 10 years. Chrissy and Jim's interviews consistently returned to the same subject: marriage. Interviewers inquired, fans pleaded, bloggers conjectured, and each time Jim dismissed it with a joke, a laugh, or an ambiguous pledge. Chrissy, on the other hand, frequently appeared defeated. She alternates between defending her spouse, rolling her eyes, and subtly implying that she is sick of waiting. Both of them were plagued by the question: why do they refuse to marry? Admirers, emotional commitment. The extent of fans' emotional attachment to their love story is one of the things that makes this revelation so startling. For many years, Chrissy and Jim were viewed as evidence that genuine love could withstand the tumultuous environment of celebrity, familial meddling, and public scrutiny. They were genuine, even though they weren't flawless. Because of this, it felt like a betrayal of not only Chrissy's dreams but also of her supporters when she ultimately revealed the true reason they would never get married. The revelation came as a shock because it had nothing to do with money, Mama Jones, or timing. It was something more profound that had always been present beneath the surface. Additionally, when fans were stunned when Jim repeated her and confirmed her in his own direct manner. Although no one anticipated the reality, perhaps everyone should have anticipated it. Because love isn't always about the vows, the wedding gown, or the jewelry. Sometimes it has to do with the unpleasant reality that no one wants to acknowledge. Finally, Jim and Chrissy acknowledged it. The significant event did not occur during a staged reality TV set or an elegant red carpet interview. It happened when Chrissy and Jim sat down with producers for what was meant to be a laid-back, informal Q&A session. No one anticipated pyrotechnics. Yet, in a matter of minutes, the lighthearted banter gave way to unvarnished honesty, and everyone, including fans and cast members, was left watching at home when they unveiled it, utterly amazed. Chrissy's obvious restlessness during the talk was the tipping point. With her arms crossed, eyes darting, and a voice that supporters know to be a warning sign, her body language screamed displeasure. Jim, however, made every effort to remain calm, joking around and avoiding the marital questions as usual. But Chrissy wasn't having any of it this time, because he never wanted it. He loves me, but he doesn't want a wedding. Chrissy responded plainly when the interviewer questioned, "So, after all these years, why no wedding? What's really the holdup? The truth is that you don't believe in marriage." The room fell silent. Jim's smile dimmed. For the first time in years, Chrissy didn't skirt the subject, soften her tone, or pretend to be someone else. She revealed the essence of their bond, which is why admirers had been speculating on for more than 10 years. Jim's response startled everyone even more. He sighed, scratched his face, and said, "She's right. Marriage ain't for me. I love her. I ain't going nowhere," rather than denying it or comforting her or the audience. His candid remarks struck supporters like a ton of bricks. "But I don't believe in marriage papers. That's not how I was raised. That's not how I see love." Jim finally said it after years of hints, postponements, and there would be no marriage. A covert agreement was the first twist. That wasn't all, though. Chrissy, who was obviously upset, went one step further. She disclosed that she and Jim had in fact reached an arrangement years prior. Before the cameras and the incessant questions, Chrissy, "We've previously discussed this in private," admitted. "He wanted to maintain the illusion for the fans, the program, and the plot. So I agreed to it, even though we had already determined, years ago, that we wouldn't be married. My truth is that the fans were taken aback. Was the whole marital drama, the rings, the proposals, the back and forth just a plot point? Did they purposefully prolong the tension in their relationship to keep viewers interested? Supporters feel deceived. Viewers were deeply affected by the confession for years. Supporters had cheered for Chrissy and understood her patience, frustration, and tears. Many thought they had been strung along with her. But after hearing her acknowledge that she and Jim had an understanding from the beginning, a few admirers felt deceived. Comments like, "So, we've been clowned this whole time. They milked this marriage storyline for ratings. Nah, this hurts," were all over Twitter. Some people backed Chrissy, claiming that Jim was the issue. Chrissy's sacrifice of her personal aspirations to ensure her man's happiness, if anything, demonstrated the depth of her love for Jim. Rather than turning back, Jim remained steadfast, looking at Chrissy and then into the camera before declaring, "I told her from the start, marriage is not something I believe in. I'm not like that. Otherwise, though, I offer her everything. My devotion, love, and time. Nothing will be sufficient if that isn't, but a piece of paper won't make me change who I am." The first twist was revealed at that point. Fans believed for years that Jim was just putting things off because he was scared of being committed. In actuality, though, he had no intention of getting married to Chrissy. In private, he had explained that to her, and she had agreed. She had agreed to it. The emotional conflict, but calm, did not follow acceptance. Chrissy's feelings were revealed as the cameras continued to roll. She said that even though she accepted the arrangement, she secretly hoped Jim would reconsider. Tears filled her eyes as she remarked, "I wanted that wedding. I wanted that day." She acknowledged that hope was what kept her fighting, waiting, and proposing. Fans were divided. Was Chrissy a victim of broken promises? Her voice expressed vulnerability, which stood in stark contrast to Jim's tough demeanor. "I simply believed one day he would come around, but he never did, and I'm weary of waiting for something that's not coming." Within hours of the episode airing, social media exploded with clips of their confession. TikTok edits featuring Chrissy's tearful confession alongside Jim's unrepentant words set to melancholy music, and memes ridiculed Jim's refusal to give up her dream for a man who never intended to give it to her. Tamar Braxton tweeted, "Sis gave that man her whole life," among other celebrity comments. Other captions included 20 years, 2 rings, and 0 weddings. He was unable to marry her. Nah. Meanwhile, rapper Fat Joe defended Jim on Instagram Live, saying, "Marriage, it's not for everyone. Don't criticize that man for being honest." The cliffhanger, did Chrissy expose too much? The most stunning aspect wasn't simply the disclosure. It was also what Chrissy alluded to in her concluding remarks. The culture was split, and the arguments quickly became heated. "You think marriage is the only secret we've been keeping?" she asked, staring straight into the camera. "There's more. You guys have no idea. A lot more." Fans gasped at that one cue. What more were Jim and Chrissy concealing? Were there any financial secrets? Family problems? Secret treachery? The possibilities were frightening and limitless. The initial twist was obvious. Jim and Chrissy had no intention of getting married. hence they would never do so. However, fans questioned whether this was the start of a much larger unraveling after the cliffhanger, and there was no doubt about that. Their admirers and legacy would be shaken by whatever happened next. Absolute faith. It wasn't simply another romance when Chrissy and Jim's confession was broadcast. Update. Hip-hop, reality TV, and social media were all rocked by this blast. Their followers had been dreaming for years that Chrissy would eventually get married. The whole story would come full circle when Jim eventually said, "I do." However, that fantasy was dashed by blunt revelations, and the consequences were felt right away. Social media is at war. Twitter went crazy. Hashtag Chrissy and other hashtags are deserving of better. Hashtag marriage is overrated and hashtag Jim it are trending at the same time. There was constant controversy among fans, with some criticizing Jim for squandering Chrissy's greatest years and others applauding him for being truthful about his identity. "You're dragging Jim for nothing. At least he told the truth." One post that went viral said, 20 years, 2 rings, no wedding. Sis spilt this man, stood by him, fought Mama Jones, and this is what she gets. Painful, another post said. Papers don't equate to loyalty. TikTok creators combined earlier videos of Chrissy sobbing over Jim's delays with the most recent footage of their confession, editing it with captions that suggested the warning signs were always there. Fans who had previously supported Jim were suddenly abandoning him, while other celebrities quickly voiced their opinions, accusing Chrissy of playing herself by continuing to be the celebrity pylon. Tamar Braxton went live and said, "I don't care what nobody says. Every woman who proposes to a man is begging him to step up, and he never does." Honestly, Chrissy wanted that wedding. When 50 Cent posted an image of Jim wearing a tuxedo with the caption, "This outfit is still in the closet after 20 years. He stirred up controversy. Remy Ma even added his voice in a podcast appearance. At least he was honest with her. Some men still cheat by feigning it. However, sis also saw her value. There was a real split. Chrissy was viewed by some as the devoted companion who merited more. Some even identified with Jim, believing marriage is an antiquated trap, while others perceived her as complicit in her own suffering. Jim, who never keeps quiet, fights back. Jim returned the blow in his own manner. "I give Chrissy everything. My loyalty, my time, my life. Ain't no paper gone. Change that. If you don't get it, that's not love," he said on Instagram Live, reinforcing his position. On you, he even made fun of followers by saying, "Half of you in failed marriages are criticizing me. Take care of yourself." Fans accused Jim of gaslighting Chrissy by using loyalty as a shield while denying her the one thing she most desired. But rather than calming critics, his remarks fueled the flames. In a follow-up interview, Chrissy made a disturbing statement that truly shocked fans. "I wasted years hoping he would change. I thought if I held him down, he would eventually give me what I wanted," Chrissy said, sitting alone and clearly upset. Fans supported Chrissy for years as this strong, assertive woman who demanded respect, but in that moment, they saw the toll. The vulnerability, the cracks, the exhaustion. It wasn't just TV drama. Now, however, I realized that I was chasing a dream he never shared, and that hurts more than anything. As Chrissy wiped away her tears, she hinted that marriage wasn't the only thing Jim had suppressed. People assume this is about a wedding, but it's not. It was a lady confessing her biggest regret, the unexpected revelation, and buried secrets. Fans went crazy. What did she mean? Was there infidelity? There's more. You don't know. I kept things up to protect him and us, but if I ever told you all, you wouldn't look at him the same. The speculation was endless. Some thought she was hinting at long-term side relationships. Others thought it was about business deals gone wrong. And some even thought it had to do with Mama Jones and intense family feuds never depicted on camera. She had never disclosed financial difficulties or betrayals larger than marriage. The program concluded with Chrissy and Jim sitting in silence, the weight of their words lingering in the air. A cliffhanger that froze the society. Chrissy stated, looking straight into the camera, "Y'all wanted the truth. You have a portion of it, but you're not prepared for the remainder." That one sentence established the bombshell revelation wasn't only that Chrissy and Jim would never marry, but that their entire relationship would be destroyed if she revealed the rest. Was she trying to expose Jim even more? Had she been keeping it a secret for years? Fans were left feeling shocked, deceived, and desperate for answers because, if this was just a portion of the truth, the entire story might be the most explosive revelation in love and truth. The relationship may have been based on half-truths and hidden sacrifices. But now, for the first time ever, Chrissy appeared ready to tell the world exactly what she had been hiding. Hip-hop history. When Chrissy and Jim's confession aired, it wasn't just another reality TV plotline. It became the talk of barbershops, salons, hip-hop podcasts, and gossip blogs. Fans, celebrities, and industry insiders couldn't stop analyzing the couple's candid admission and the reactions. They were furious. split, and on Twitter, fans turned social media into a warfare. Some of them went directly after Jim, accusing him of squandering Chrissy's life by refusing to give her a wedding after 20 years. She deserved more.